I think with the history of the partnership between ZAWA and FZS here, we have achieved a significant success in not only protection of the area, but also the black rhino reintroduction. And now we need to move to the next stage. The next stage is ensuring we've got a sustainable future for the area. To ensure that we've got the revenue required to maintain the area, and to ensure that we've got the management structure in place that makes this not only ecologically sustainable but also financially sustainable for the future and future generations. Currently we're going through a process to analyse our partnership and our input here together with ZAWA, and I think that we can hopefully come up with a model or a management structure here that can sustain itself on the revenue from within the ecosystem. And if that revenue is retained within the area and the management structures are in place, I think we've got a very good chance of ensuring the integrity of this kind of the North Luangwa wilderness is maintained for future generations. The North Luangwa ecosystem form is part of the wider Luangwa ecosystem, which is one of the last wilderness areas in Africa. It's probably totals about 100,000 square kilometres and includes 4 national parks, and the rest are under some form of protection. The Luangwa is the oldest section of the Great Rift Valley.
Luangwa was set up as a park in 1972. Prior to that it was basically a wilderness area. The park was basically an open area that just had wildlife within it but not much protection. Then the protection started to be reinforced really after the poaching waves after the 1970s. The 1980s, when the rhinos and elephants had been decimated throughout the country, throughout the continent. And it's really only in the sort of late 80s that formally North Luangwa Conservation Programme started up and started helping out with protection of the park and trying to get the park's integrity back on track and actually make it into something that it is today.
North Luangwa, the key characteristics or iconic characteristics of North Luangwa are considered to be the vast wilderness feel and true wilderness of the area, unlike other parts of Luangwa which are quite developed. It's very, the infrastructure development here is very low and low key, and the experience you get coming here is a true wilderness experience. On top of that, of course, we are the only park in Zambia that has the big 5, which is the black rhino, lion, leopard, buffalo and elephant, as well as actually one of the densest hippo populations left in Africa. So yeah, it's a true wilderness area in anybody's terms, even compared to many other parts of Africa.
Well, the North Luangwa ecosystem has actually got quite a unique biodiversity, just in as much as that it's one of the oldest parts of the Rift Valley on the continent. So by virtue of that, it becomes geographically isolated, topographically isolated. So you've got quite high escarpment in the east and the west, and then you've got the river running through the middle basically, and that either the river or the escarpment becomes geographical boundaries for species, so you end up with quite a few endemics, whether it's some endemic birds or mammals. And we've got Cookson's wildebeest, who are endemic to the Luangwa Valley system. It's very well known for buffalo, big buffalo numbers, wild dog, good prides of lion, leopard, it's one of the best places in the continent to see leopard, hippo, vast numbers of hippo in the river, crocodile. So yeah, and you've got everything from your prey and your plains game right through to your predators, your top predators, and then everything in between. So once you've got that diversity, then it all comes together.
The threats to North Luangwa, I think they're twofold really. Obviously there's the normal threats with seen in Africa, which is obviously increasing human population, poor agricultural methodology used in some of the areas which can particularly affect the river systems. Across the continent, we've seen in the last couple of years a significant increase in elephant poaching and rhino poaching. Obviously, having both those species here, it's a major factor. We have also seen within the ecosystem an increase in elephant poaching purely for the ivory trade in the last 18 months. And we're now back to the stages where many of the elephant carcasses that we do come across have simply had the ivory removed. No longer are we finding the carcasses where the entire carcass is utilised with meat consumption and what have you. Now it's in and out with professional poachers coming in, shoot the elephant, take the ivory and go. At the same time, with this increase in elephant poaching, there has been a dramatic increase since 2008 in rhino poaching, especially in South Africa, Zimbabwe, and also to a degree in Kenya, and even some rhino poaching in Tanzania. We're a small population here, we are remote, but we're not going to be left alone. I'm sure there'll be people that have our rhinos in their sights, so we're trying to do everything that we can to try and counter that. From increasing the foot patrols, retraining the officers, refocusing their skills, getting their confidence and motivation up, and really improving their ability to use their firearms. We are also embarking upon improving the capacity and the capabilities within the intelligence and investigation units in the area, as we feel that's a major way that we can tackle any likely threat. There's considerable Chinese investment in Zambia. So there's naturally going to be that demand, and so we have to be on a constant lookout for any such incursions. Beyond that, there is still meat poaching. So the target species are generally buffalo and hippo for their meat, but also some of the smaller game with snaring. But the other big threat, I think, to North Luangwa is its sustainability. The sustainability obviously is key to the future protection of the area, and currently the park itself needs to improve its revenue to ensure that there's a financial sustainability to the park. So those are the main threats that I would perceive as certainly in North Luangwa at the moment. Frankfurt Zoological Society's involvement here in North Luangwa has been since 1986. So we're actually the longest serving partner to what was formerly National Parks Department and now Zambia Wildlife Authority. And it has developed over the years to a formal MOU was signed to 1998 for 10 years and renewed in 2008 for a further 10 years. The principal focus of that partnership is protected area management and all aspects within it, which mainly concentrates on law enforcement, wildlife management, and then clear transparency in the management thereof. And latterly, since 2003, Frankfurt Zoological Society and ZAWA embarked upon a black rhino reintroduction project, which is to date has been the biggest on scale to be undertaken in Africa. And that commenced in 2003 with an introduction of 5 animals, with an aim to introduce 20 unrelated animals to produce a founder population back in Zambia. So 5 in 2003, a further 10 in 2006, a further 5 in 2008, and 5 in 2010. It's quite a remarkable partnership between a number of different agencies and countries involved, and it includes South African National Parks, KwaZulu-Natal National Parks, Eastern Cape Parks Board, as well as other external input and assistance from the likes of International Rhino Foundation, Save the Rhino International, Save the Rhino Trust Zambia, one of the major supporters would be US Fish and Wildlife Department, which has supported the process from the start and continues to be one of the most major supporters of the project to date. Of course, we shouldn't forget there's as well philanthropic donations and support from the Paul Tudor Jones Conservation Foundation, which has also helped the project get underway.
What we do and what everyone thinks we do are probably two very different things. Everyone thinks we're saving the world, but most of the time we're just, it's just grinding away. It's just constantly trying to improve things and protect things. Our day-to-day main activities are keeping the protected area protected. In terms of running the workshop, keeping the vehicles on the road, implementing the law enforcement strategy, putting anti-poaching patrols out there on a daily basis, making sure that the Scouts training is up to speed. I think with the efforts and the financial investment that's gone in here over the last 25 years, this is best protected park, best trained law enforcement unit in the country, if not on a wider regional scale as well. There's been huge amounts of investment in that, and it makes a significant impact on the protection of the park and the integrity of the park, and that's borne out with wildlife data and law enforcement monitoring data that does support the fact that the park is protected and populations of wildlife are growing. Having said that, the law enforcement unit here works harder than anywhere else, and this is a tough assignment when officers get stationed here. They know they're going to work, but hopefully there's a motivation, there's a morale in the fact that they are supported and that there is a tangible result at the end of all their efforts. And then on the outside of that, we do actually try to reach out to communities a bit more, but we're aiming it at school children level. So we are running a conservation education programme in 22 schools now, surrounding the national park, and that's in 3 different districts. So we have a conservation education officer that goes out on a regular basis and delivers presentations. So the main messages is things like healthy ecosystems, so not polluting, not dropping litter, deforestation comes into that, just basically the interdependence of everything. And then towards the end of each lesson that Sylvester delivers, he's trying to bring that around to the black rhino and how the black rhino affect that sort of thing. So healthy ecosystems, the history of rhinos in Zambia, so what we as humans have done to this population in Zambia and worldwide, so having gone from 100,000 rhinos at the turn of the 19th, 20th century to almost none 100 years later. So that is sort of honed in and trying to then bring it all round at the end of the year to sort of say, okay, now what can the children do as individuals to not let this happen again and not put Zambia in the same situation again, and what can we do to protect rhinos? And then by doing all of that, we're hoping as well that they don't just hear the lesson and then forget about it, but they then go home and they talk to their parents about it and tell their parents to not burn down things or not to throw their rubbish or not to poach, or just have some sort of conscience about the environment in which they live. And we reach about 2,000 children a year in terms of doing this programme, and the programme's been going since 2003, so it's coming up for nearly 10 years. So that's a lot of children that have been reached, but hopefully one of them one day decides that he's going to be president, and then he will come up with some wonderful wildlife enforcement protection acts that are going to be to preserve this place for the future. So although we don't necessarily think that you put a lot of time and a lot of effort into these community sides of things, but you just need to change one person's attitude really to change the world, and hopefully along the way everyone changes their attitudes a little bit and can contribute as well.